Hello, everyone, all my friends from Wine News TV. Today is the Breakfast of Champions, indeed. I'm with Mr. Geoffrey Loisel, right? You are the director of Billecart Salmon for the Americas.
I am.
So good to meet you.
Nice to
So
meet you.
good to have you here in the show. Thank you to Maximino Rey, the Rey family, and Bodegas Compostela for the privilege of tasting the wines made by the champagnes made by my favorite champagne house. So you were telling me off record that you've been to Puerto Rico for a number of years,
Absolutely.
and you guys have been working with Compostela for more than 2 decades.
More than 2 decades with Bodega Compostela, with the Ray family, and it's been an amazing adventure. And thanks to Maximino and his family, we were able to really build Billecart Salmon on this island and meet with many friends along the road. So we've been very blessed to have them with us.
Yeah, and they do a fantastic job because the labels, the wines are positioned at the top markets and sectors here in the industry. So the job that they do is quite remarkable, and the wines just are mind-blowingly good. Let's start with Puerto Rico before we get into the winery per se. How would you characterize our market, the local market, compared to other markets you work with?
Well, to begin with, for us at Billecart Salmon, Puerto Rico is our first market in the Caribbean. So as you said, we've been working the brand for over 20 years here. So there is a strong following on the brand, and also it's fair to say that Puerto Rico is a sophisticated market when it comes to wine. There's a strong culture about food, about dinner and wine in general. So restaurants are very vibrant here. There's always new restaurants every time I come back.
Uh-huh.
And so for us, being a gastronomy champagne house, for us it makes sense to be present here, especially with the number of cuvées that we produce. For us, it makes a lot of sense to be in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Ricans are very nice people.
Yeah, they
and,
are indeed.
And we love to come back. Every year we come back and host dinners, whether it's here at Compostela or we were a couple days ago with Mario Pagan. And
Willow, you said mentioned Willow, a good
Willow.
friend as well, and
Yeah.
the crowds at the Dorado Ritz. How many countries carry your labels, the Billecart wines?
I think today we're in over 90 different countries.
Okay.
90.
90. And of those 90 countries, not all of them carry all the cuvées, right? Some carry just some of them. Because I believe that in Puerto Rico, we have the luxury of having most, if not all, of the labels you guys produce, right?
True. I mean, in a sophisticated market like Puerto Rico, we like to have all of our labels represented. And again, if the food scene and the food culture allows us to do it, well, for us, it's the perfect match.
Exactly.
In other countries or in other, smaller islands,
Exactly,
it might be a bit more difficult.
Right.
But, we always try to have our main labels, which is the Brut, the Rosé, Blanc de Blanc, the one we produce the most.
Yeah, it's very consistent with the other interviews I've done regarding our local market as a very sort of demanding and developed a market. Let's talk about the Champagne House. Tell me a little bit about the history, how it came to be. Maybe we can start with the name. I always say Billecart Salmon, but that's the Spanish way of saying it. You say it in French, which sounds much nicer. Tell me a little bit about the story behind these bottles or behind the Champagne House per se, and then we'll get into the champagnes.
So it started in 1818 in the village of Mareuil-sur-Aille, and Nicolas François Billecart married with Elisabeth Salmon. So it's a husband and wife operation. It started as a love story, and it remains, as of today, family run, family owned, and operated.
A line of descendancy from Mr. Billecart and Miss Salmon. There's still members of that family, that lineage.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So the house was run up until our bicentennial in 2018 by François Roland Billecart. I believe he stayed our CEO for over 25 years. And his nephew, Mathieu Roland Billecart, is the seventh generation, and he's the CEO since 2018.
Okay. What's the philosophy behind the Champagne House? Because there's got to be a message that you want to convey to your clients whenever they open a bottle of your champagnes. What is it that you guys seek when a consumer buys and tastes and enjoys a bottle?
Well, we seek for the consumer to drink fast and come back.
I love it. I
And
love it.
since 1818, the motto and the motto of the family has always been give priority to quality and thrive for excellence. And that, I believe, is the reason why we remain independent. Um, the house has never been sold or purchased by any other bigger company. And I think when you give priority to quality, that's what people are looking for.
Yeah, it translates into what you're consuming. That attention to detail. That you're not part of a conglomerate. Nothing bad about conglomerates, but it's a solo operation.
Absolutely. So when we release a vintage, sometimes we will release backwards. We'll release '06 before '05 because '06 is more ready than 2005. So we give priority to the customer satisfaction and really for us, the best way to convince a consumer to come back.
Yeah, and there's less pressure from many shareholders and people giving input. You guys make your own decisions within the control of the family.
Exactly, and quality takes time.
Yeah.
So we take the time.
That's right.
We're not in a rush.
All right, I am a little thirsty. I don't know about you, but let's get into this beautiful, beautiful lineup that we have, thanks to Maximino, of course, and this is the Breakfast of Champions. Let's start with, this is the one that has the black label, the Brut, right?
The Brut Reserve.
Okay,
Yes.
cheers, and welcome to Puerto Rico. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you
what
so
can
much.
You tell me, what can you tell me about this one?
Well, this wine is really the signature wine of the family or the flagship. Any Brut non-vintage should represent the style of a champagne house. And when it comes to Billecart Salmon, the style is very easy to remember. It's the rule of the 3F: finesse, fruit, freshness. And so the way we achieve that is by blending grapes together. So in this case, this is Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier. A little bit more Pinot Meunier than Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So 40% Pinot Meunier, 30% Pinot Noir, and 20% Chardonnay.
I love the nose because, again, it feels fresh. There's a little bit of a hint of that lovely citrusy fruit, and you have the brioche, but it's not evident. And you also have this delicious nutty quality to it, and it feels so clean. Let me see what I find on the palate. It's so clean, and the bubble is very delicate. Wow, crisp, lovely acidity, very food friendly. I love it, and I think it retails here in Puerto Rico for around 55 to 65, which is a remarkable price for the quality of this champagne. In terms of food pairings, what do you suggest people try with this label, with this champagne?
Well, for this wine, it's very easy. It's a wine that can be enjoyed on its own. We can sip it as long as we want. It's very easy to pair with. So anywhere from fish to a nice aperitif and ceviche, I think that's a good match. And it's a very, very versatile wine. That's the idea behind it, is blending the three grapes together. It appeals to a lot of different food, different style of food. You can. I think that's the easiest cuvée for us to pair it with.
I cannot imagine what lies ahead when this is sort of the entry one on the lineup. But it's delicious. It's remarkable, and I think that based on the investment the consumer makes, is a great entry into the Billecart family, right?
Absolutely.
You start with this one, and then you invest a little bit more, and then you start to go up the ladder, if you will, and taste and find out more. I'm loving here that I'm getting that beautiful Pinot quality that gives you a little bit of a red fruit hint. It's lovely.
And it's the most difficult wine to produce for us because every year we have to, keep the same consistency and the same quality or better. And this is all about blending. So the base year of this wine is 2019 for about 60% of it, no, 40% of it, I'm sorry. And 60% of it is reserve wine from a Solera or perpetual reserve dating back from 2006.
Okay.
So that gives you the level of commitment from the winery to always produce top quality wine, even at the entry level, if we can call it the entry level. The dosage also, the sugar that we add is very minimum. So it's about 3 grams, 3.5 grams
Okay, it's
per
very
liter.
reasonable.
So it's an extra brut, technically.
Yeah, yeah.
And the whole range now at Billecart Salmon is extra brut.
Okay.
So the
So less than 4 or 5 grams.
we try to stay below 5 grams when it's possible.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, we extend the aging. So we try to get more maturity in the bottle and get the cuvee to mature in the bottle. And so we don't have to add, that much sugar.
Technical geek question. What is it that makes the dosage go higher, lower? What comes into the final decision? The style you want to produce, whether the wine is too acidic. How do you make the decision of adding less or more?
Well, it's about the base wine, essentially. It's about also the quality of the reserve wine. This wine is called Brut Reserve. So it says on the label that it has a lot of reserve wine. And we keep about 30% of every harvest as reserve wine for future cuvées, non-vintage cuvées. So the dosage is really decided. We make several attempts and several tries for our dosage, but we try to really give priority to the beauty of the grape, and that's what we're trying to showcase. So more or less, depending on the base wine, we're gonna add more or less sugar.
Right. Do you guys own the fruit? You have contracts with different grape growers, or you own part of the grapes?
So it's a mix.
Okay.
We have 3 sources of supply. We own about 100 hectares
Okay.
proper. Then we rent vineyards, so it's our own people in the vineyards.
Right.
From another 100 hectares. And then the last source of supply is that we buy fruit from growers that we've been knowing for generation.
Okay.
And that's another 100 hectares. So total access to fruit is 300 hectares. And we produce only 2 million bottles out of 300 hectares, which is not a lot, technically speaking. So it allows us to really pick and choose the best of the best. And so for us, we vinify at a very low temperature. The fermentation is done at a very, very low temperature. Same as we practice a double cold settling to filter the wine. So for us, it makes sense to use Pinot Meunier, whether it's in our brut, but also in the next one, we have a bit of Pinot Meunier in there, but also in the rosé.
Because I've always felt the richness in this entry champagne, if you want to call it that. This would be the top cuvée of other houses, but in your case is perhaps the entry. But Pinot Meunier provides richness to the final product. So you have the richness here. That's the way I interpret it.
So the richness comes also from the fact that this cuvée is vinified about 94% in stainless steel tanks. And at Billecart Salmon, we do what we call parcel by parcel vinification, in French, vinification parcellaire. So this cuvée comes from out of 40 different parcels that have been vinified separately and then blended to get the house style, which is, about fruit freshness and finesse. So it's like fine jewelry here. And the fact that it's also vinified 6% in oak barrels adds complexity, adds a richness to the blend.
I wanted to take time in this one. We'll probably don't necessarily spend that much time on the other ones because this is the one that's more readily available.
Absolutely.
And then most people see it, and in terms of price, it's the most accessible as well. Okay, let's get into the second one. What do we have here, Geoffrey?
So the second cuvée is a vintage 2013. So this is mostly Pinot Noir. It's about 65% Pinot Noir. And there's a bit of Chardonnay. There's about 20% of Chardonnay, and the rest is Pinot Meunier.
I'm getting strawberries here. I'm getting lovely red fruit. I'm getting berries. Wow, what a lovely nose here.
So that's exactly what we look for. Here there's more structure coming from the Pinot Noir. This is all Grand Cru and Premier Cru fruit. So you will find a richness, but it's also a an extra brut, I'm sorry. So this has a very low dosage. I think this is below 2 grams. So what we're looking for here is really the purity and minerality. So this is a great gastronomic wine. This with, seafood and shellfish and ceviche.
What a
I think
gorgeous.
is an amazing wine, and it really, really, really appeals to gastronomy in this case.
I was telling you off camera that this is a special vintage because my son was born in 2013, and I bought a lot of red wines from Italy, from Napa, from France as well. Even France, Bordeaux wasn't a good vintage 2013, but it was in Piemonte, it was in Montalcino. Let me ask you about, and this is a personal question, but I guess I have the license because it's my show, right? 2013, was it a good vintage for Champagne?
It was a good vintage.
Okay.
It was a distinctive vintage. So we didn't release any of our founders cuvée that will probably talk about later.
Yeah, we will.
And so we decided to release this vintage 2013 because it was a great year for Pinot Noir.
Okay.
And this is mainly Pinot Noir here. So overall, 2013 was a good year in Champagne, good level of maturity, a good level of the sanitary, sanitary status for the grapes was great as well. So that's why we decided to release 2013.
How will it age? If I buy a bottle after we're done with the interview and I put it away in my cellar and I'll wait for my son to be of legal age to drink, by the time he's 21, 25, will it still be as good as it is now?
Let's hope.
The only way to know it is to buy it and wait 10 years, right?
Yeah, and the best advice I can give you is to buy several bottles so you can also see the evolution of it.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's like smelling fresh wild strawberries. It's incredible.
And that's really the concept behind it. It's already 10 years old.
And bread, there's brioche. It's like a strawberry croissant sandwich. It's incredible.
But most of our wines, the non-vintage, are meant to be consumed between 5 and 10 years. And when we produce our vintage, depending on the quality, and the level of the vintage, you can age 10, 15, 20, 30 years. We won best champagne of the millennium with our cuvée Nicolas François Billecart, 59 and 61, so they finished 1 and 2, and I remember tasting the 61 in New York, and as long as it's stored properly, it can
of course.
really hold the distance.
I have the rights, the appropriate cellars with temperature, and they're all laying down. Marisabel, that's my wife. You know what I want for Christmas. All right, let's go to the third one, the Brut Sous-Bois.
Sous-Bois.
Yes. I've had this before. Tell me about this one. And it has a distinctive label in as much as it has this appearance of like a barrel, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a real wooden label. Mm-hmm. And in opposition to the 2 first cuvées, which are vinified in stainless steel, because what we want is purity. This one is vinified 100% in oak. So at Billecart, we go by skill set or know-how or savoir-faire. Mm-hmm. So most of the consumer knows us for the rosé. So that's probably the most well-known savoir-faire at Billecart Salmon. But we also have a savoir-faire of blending. So that would be the brut. And the third savoir-faire is oak vinification. So we have a single vineyard at Billecart called Clos Saint-Hilaire. It's 1 hectare of pure Pinot Noir, vinified in oak. We only produce, 3,000 to 4,000 bottles. And this is the non-vintage version of it. So this is Sous-Bois. It's a blend also.
What does Sous-Bois mean? Sorry
Sous-Bois
for my ignorance. What does it mean?
Means under wood.
Okay.
Under oak. So it means that it's been vinified 100% in oak, but it's also a wine term to describe an aroma. So it's also, Sous-Bois, it's a term you would use when you walk into a forest when it just rained and you have this smell
wet earth,
of wet soil and earthy. And so that's the concept behind it. So this cuvée has been vinified 100% in oak. They're a small barrel from Burgundy. They're used French oak, and so we use really the oak for a texture purpose.
The toasty note comes from that oak then, because I'm
The
getting a
toasty note
lovely.
comes from the oak we're using, but in this case, we don't want to overpower the
Yeah,
wine.
but it's a kiss. It's a kiss of toast. It's not like an oak monster. It's a kiss. It's a whiff, but the fruit comes across beautifully.
It's to add volume. So as you taste the wine, you will see it is not as lean and mono dimensional as the two first cuvées that are really about precision and laser sharp acidity.
Yeah, this
Here,
is more round.
we're
The
looking
first one,
for a
yeah,
rounder, richer, more weight in the palate.
more flesh. These are the bones. This is the muscle.
Exactly. So this is really a gastronomic wine. So best pairing with this.
You can pair meat with this.
You
And
can definitely.
You can definitely pair meat with this.
Absolutely.
Wow. It's beautiful.
And cheese.
Yeah.
And I think the best pairing that I had with the Sous-Bois was goat cheese and Comté.
Oh my
So I
God.
strongly encourage this pairing because it really, the wine really resonates when you pair it with the right food.
Let me ask you something, because as a consumer, and I know the fantastic job that Compostela does in placing the labels in a strategic points of sale, but I've seen the Sous-Bois a larger, more visible presence as of the last 2 years. Is this a new product, or it was relaunched, or you guys are doing an effort to promote it more? Because I didn't know of the existence of this label. I knew the rosé and I knew the black label, but the Sous-Bois, for the last 2-3 years, I've seen it more and more, and people are buying it. I bought it about a year and a half ago just to try it, because I love everything Billecart Salmon, and it was under 100. It was like, I think, $90, and it was amazing. But is it new, or you've been doing it for a while?
Well, I think the first year we've released this cuvée was 2010, I believe.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but it's been a few years. It's
Okay.
been over 10 years.
All right.
But of course, we've been known to be specialists of stainless steel, and we invested, a lot into oak barrels. We believe there is a clientele and a category of consumer that really is looking for this type of wine. So we decided to really take a chance and develop this type of wine. So Clos Saint-Hilaire is really what made us to go towards more oak barrique vinification, and this is this is the result. And so yes, we had several tries at this wine.
The dosage all stays under 5 grams here as well?
Here it's under 5 or right around 5.
Yeah.
But the previous version of the Sous-Bois had more sugar, and the oak was integrated in a different way.
It's non-vintage, right?
It's a non-vintage. The base wine here is 2015. And also we use a Solera of 10 years, perpetual reserve, as reserve wine.
Great. Let's go into the fourth one. This is the Blanc de Blanc.
Blanc de Blanc. So Blanc de Blanc non-vintage is all Grand Cru here. So we source from 4 different villages, the top villages of the Côte des Blancs. So Chouilly, Avis, Cramant, and Ménil-sur-Roger are the top villages that we use to produce this cuvée. This is vinified only in stainless steel. And here we're really looking to express and to showcase the minerality of Chardonnay.
Chardonnay is a queen. My God. Yeah, you can feel the chalk. You can feel that minerality from the rocks. You guys have chalk, limestone. What do you have?
This is mainly chalky soil here.
Wow, it's
south of
bone dry. It's like you're squeezing a lime and licking a rock, but a gorgeous rock and a delicious, acidic, refreshing lime. Wow,
Absolutely.
this
That's
is brilliant.
that's really the
It's
concept.
linear. I mean, it's razor sharp, and it's a great contrast with the previous one, because the previous one was like the fat cousin. Right?
Exactly.
This is the svelte, very sleek model in a runway. Wow,
Absolutely.
what a wine.
So
What a
here
wine.
you can pair with, oysters, caviar, obviously, is a great pairing. And I personally love this wine.
Oh,
It's a
me too.
smaller production for us, but it's probably one of the best kept secret we have at the house.
And this because of, wow, the mouth watering acidity. I think this will age beautifully. You have a very, very nice job, my friend. You get to taste back vintages and older vintages. You've had Blanc de Blancs from, many years ago, and they're still tasting impeccable.
Amazing, amazing. We released, since I've been with the company, we've released many vintages of the Blanc de Blanc. So we have a founder's cuvée called Louis Salmon, and right now we're on 2009 vintage. We'll be releasing a new vintage next year. So that's all I will say about this.
Okay, okay. Well, like next time you're here, we'll have
Absolutely.
we'll have an exclusive. All right, let's get into the last one that we're gonna taste, and we're gonna speak about two other champagnes, the Founders range or the Founders lineup, if you will. But this is the best rosé in the world. I have a lot of friends, my wife's friends, that they say I only drink Billecart rosé. I give me in whites, give me anything, but for rosé, nothing can rival Billecart rosé. Why is your rosé so freaking famous?
Well, I think it's a unique rosé because, let's put it that way, it's not a rosé champagne. It's a champagne rosé,
Explain that a
which
little.
is different.
Explain that to me, please.
Well, in Champagne, in France, we're the only region where we allow to blend white and red to obtain rosé, and this is what we do. So we don't do any skin contact maceration for this wine. We would be the case for many rosés, from Provence or any red wine of that matter. Is you get the color by macerating the skin with the must. So that's not what we do in this case. We vinify this wine. This is Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Pinot Meunier. There is a higher proportion of Chardonnay. There's about 40% of Chardonnay. So it is built as a white wine. That's why we don't call it a rosé champagne, but that champagne that became rosé. So the three grapes are vinified as a white wine, so we separate the skin from the must. And when we do have the final white blend, we add a small proportion of
Still
red wine,
Pinot Noir.
to get the rosé color, to get the fruit. We're not so interested to get, the tannins characteristic from the skin contact maceration here. So that's why we call it a champagne rosé and not a rosé champagne.
Thank you. This is going to be a soundbite for social media. Wow, what a great explanation. And this has masses of fans, especially the females here in Puerto Rico, and a couple of males. I include myself there. What a brilliant nose again. You have the strawberries, the red fruit, you have the citrusy notes.
So
There's the freshness
I also
to it,
want to show
minerality.
you something that we recently developed, which is a great tool. As you can see on the back label, maybe we can show it to the camera.
Of course, of course.
So you go on the website myorigin.billecart.fr, and then you will be directed to a specific website, and you can actually type in the number of the bottles. So each bottle is unique, and each bottle has a code, a number. And in typing the number, you can actually access to the ID card of the wine. So I can show you it on my phone.
Show me right now.
That's, you go here.
Even for the black label, the entry, the brew.
All of our labels. Even
So
the
that
vintage.
guarantees provenance. That
It guarantees, of course, provenance. The way also we've been making the wine, producing the wine, the base year, the disgorgement date, and also the level of sugar.
I'm gonna link the website for. We have 12,000 subscribers in YouTube, which is the largest number of subscribers for a wine channel in Latin America in YouTube. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you for your support, and we will link this up in the comment section.
So you're on the website,
Yeah.
myorigin.billecart.fr, and you type the number. So in this case, we're gonna look at the rosé, and the number is 191205, and boom, you go on the ID card. It shows you the grape varieties, which
Oh my
village
God, that's gorgeous.
it coming from, the crew, the village,
Let me do something.
the grape breakdown.
Marvelous. Marvelous use of technology to adapt it to something that's so ancestral in a way, that's so classic. Beautiful. I love this.
It's very useful, whether it's for us selling the wine, because we go sometimes to some market and it's not essentially the same cuvée or the same base wine. So for us, it's always a good tool to refer to, but also for the consumer who wants to know more about the wine, but also for the prescriptors and the wine directors and the sommelier. They buy and they taste zillions of different wines. So it's always good for them to come back to this tool, and they can, speak about the wine and about the exact bottle. I'm sorry, that the customers is tasting.
But you also need it because Oscar Wilde used to say imitation is the highest form of flattery, right? And I assume that you have seen cases of people trying to make fake Billecart Salmon to sell it over there. So this ensures that the client is getting the real product. That's not the case in Puerto Rico. We have Compostela doing a fantastic job, but I've read, not necessarily with you guys, but other still wines that have seen a lot of fraud and things, wines not being the real thing. All right, let's get into the final part of the interview. We're not gonna taste, we're just gonna talk about, these are very limited qualities. You can get it at Compostela, about these two wines. Which should we talk about first?
Well, I think we should talk. Let's talk
Yeah,
about.
can you hand it to me so we can show it? The
course.
first one?
Let's talk about the lady first. So this is Cuvée Elisabeth Salmon. We first started producing this cuvée in homage to our founder, Elisabeth Salmon, this beautiful rosé, vintage rosé in 1988. And this is 2009 vintage. So that's our latest release. And next year, there will probably be a new release of this cuvée, but that's all I will say.
In a decade, how many times do you release this one on average?
A couple cuvées. So
Four?
in the 90s.
Every other year, maybe?
No, it's not as exact as this. We only release, if the tasting committee at Billecart approves it.
Tasting committee. I would love that job. Being member, oh my God. The tasting committees, people that get paid to try the samples.
Yes, and they ensure really that what our bottlings are in optimum quality, and we don't release in a okay year a vintage. We only release in the year we believe are
There's got to be tremendous pressure in that committee. All jokes aside, of course, because the bar is so high. Because year after year, you guys have like perfect or near perfect ratings from the established press, the specialist, and decisions you guys make whether to release or not to release have an impact of millions and millions of euros or dollars for you guys. But I guess you always have to put quality ahead of economics in order not to lose the credibility or the faith of the clientele.
That's exactly right. That's what we've been doing for 205 years, is give priority to quality and thrive for excellence.
Even if that means losing money.
Absolutely.
Brilliant, my friend. Brilliant. Let's talk about this one. Can you hand me the bottle? Okay, so we have here the male. We had Miss Elisabeth Salmon, and here we have Nicolas Francois. What can you tell me about this one?
This is a Nicolas François Billecart cuvée. That's 2008 vintage. We first produced this cuvée in 1964 in homage to our founder, Nicolas François Billecart. And so we respect the original blend of this cuvée, which is 60% Pinot Noir, Grand Cru, and 40% Chardonnay. So this is mainly vinified in stainless steel. There's also vinification in oak, but here is to really showcase the power of Pinot. And this is among the top wines we produce at Billecart.
Of course.
We won again the Millennium Tasting held by Richard Julien in 2000, and we arrived first with the 59 vintage, and so that was a huge achievement for the house. And since then, I think Nicolas François Billecart have a great pedigree.
How many bottles? And we're closing this. We're wrapping up because I know you have other engagements. I don't want to abuse your time. How many bottles of each of these premium or the Founders Cuvée do you make per year whenever you release it?
That's not a information that I would know, because we like to keep things confidential at Billecart. So we know the overall number of bottles we produce for the house. I said that to you earlier, but cuvée by cuvée, it's hard to say.
Of course.
But it's very limited.
It is limited. It's like a pyramid. Maybe the ones we tasted are like bottom of the pyramid, and then these two top cuvées are very limited amounts.
Exactly, and we sell out, every bottles we have.
Of course. I'm in a WhatsApp chat with Ray and a lot of the clients from Compostela, and whenever all of his wines get 97, 98 points, 99 points, and Billecart always gets the top grades. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
I hope that next year we have the opportunity to, if you come down to the island. I guess you like coming to Puerto Rico.
I love Puerto Rico.
You enjoy it.
I love it. Yes.
It's been a pleasure, and I'll let you guys know if I end up going to France next year. I'm going to Spain and Italy to do some content with friends of ours, of our platform, and I would love to one day arrange a little visit.
Please be our guest. Please come and visit us. We'll have a great visit for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mi gente, gracias a Compostela, gracias por esta oportunidad maravillosa y única que jamás olvidaré. Prueben las bellezas de etiquetas que hace esta legendaria casa de champaña Billecart Salmon, que no se pronuncia así, pero así lo decimos en Puerto Rico. Búsquenla en todos los puntos de venta donde Compostela la tiene, y por supuesto vengan a comer aquí, que cuando mejor sabe es cuando la combinas con la comida de Compostela. Salud, mi amigo. Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend.
Salud. Muchas gracias.
Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and share this. Cheers.